All right. Did you see the cutest? You all have a picture of her on your tables. She's our princess tonight. The princess of Oasis. Pip calls me the queen. This kid is the princess. Let me just say that children qualify for the Oasis project through one of two criteria. They're either economically disadvantaged, which means they live at or below the poverty level, or the second criteria, some extenuating life experience or trauma. Our special princess, Julia, qualifies through our second criteria, an extenuating life experience. So I'd like to start by talking to Julia's dad. You want to step up, Dad? There we go. Oh, he's so much taller than me, but so is everybody else. So Carl, can you explain what is Julia's extenuating life experience? Can we have a second mic yet? Yeah.
All right. So Julia, when she was about 3 years old, she's 8 now, got diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder called MPS. Basically, without going, spending hours talking about it, her body is missing an enzyme that breaks down extra sugar in her body. So it's mostly a bone disorder, and she'll be short for a while. But since she's been diagnosed since she was 3, we do a lot of time at Children's Hospital, as you can imagine. So we've been dealing with that, and we go there every week on Tuesdays. She's had a multitude of surgeries, but nothing keeps her down, and she is still as, I guess, our little firecracker.
Yes, she is. Carol, can you share, for you as a parent, what it's like to have a special needs child in your family?
Yeah, so we have other kids, and I guess it's something that no parent really understands until it happens to them. We've done, I think, 2 major surgeries so far, which takes a lot of time out of other things. Also, as I said earlier, every Tuesday we spend from about noon until 6 at Children's Hospital. That's every week plus other specialists. So it's just a lot of extra attention needed and a lot of extra visits to doctors and things like that. And you just kind of take it as it comes and hope that your daughter grows up strong, and as everybody sees, she's grown up to be a beautiful, strong little girl.
Awesome. So what does it mean, Carl, to you to have Oasis services for Julia?
So one of the, I guess, if you want to call it a side effect that we didn't realize when we started all this was Julia would miss a lot of school. She spent, about 4 months out of school in kindergarten for a double hip surgery. She misses weekly. Every Tuesday she misses school. Plus on top of that, all the other specialist doctor appointments and all that other that she misses on a semi-regular basis. So as our family focused on her medical needs, a lot of her educational needs got kind of short-sighted just because our main priority was something else. So it was very nice for Oasis to step in. They made it very easy on myself, my wife, and Julia's mother to set up the programs. They didn't make us do a lot of extra legwork to get tutoring and stuff involved. And it's very nice for when she misses school that her great teacher Stephanie during COVID was doing it via Zoom and hopefully soon in person. But when we're at the hospital, instead of her just missing school and relying on me, which is probably not the best thing to rely on when it comes to education, she's a good teacher to go over all that stuff with her, and it's just helped kind of boost her back up and get her close to caught back.
Okay, good. You want to hand the mic off to Jill? Jill Lesh is Julia's guidance counselor, and she is a special friend of Julia, so she's going to help me ask Julia some questions and interview Julia herself. So, Jill, go ahead.
So, Jan asked me to try and draw Julia's personality out. I don't know if you can tell, but that's not hard work, right? Look at her in her dress, and can you show off your socks? What's on those socks, Julia? Bingoes and piggies, I think. Those are cute. So, Julia, tell us, because I love the answer to this question when we were talking about it. What when you have to leave school to go to Children's Hospital, what's your favorite thing about that?
That I get to do extra homework and spend time with my dad.
Dad goes with her every week, and so she gets to spend time with Dad, right? Yep. And what about school? What do you like about school?
I like when it's time to do math and guidance time. Because those are two of my favorite things.
She knows how to schmooze me up. I teach her guidance. She knows how to work me. What's a little bit harder at school for you?
Reading, because I am not that much of a great reader. That's why I'm still trying to work on reading.
And you work hard, don't you?
Yep,
Yeah. And who helps you to work hard on reading?
my family.
Family, and who else? Who did you get to meet with virtually last year?
Mrs. Tinky helps me with reading and makes really good sentences that helps me read better.
And this is kind of cool. Mrs. Tanky learned about something that Julia really loves, and she makes sentences about something. Did you like doing the sentences at first? Well, before the change in the sentences, did you like the sentences at the beginning? You did?
Yes,
What made you love the sentences even more?
makeup.
Sentences about makeup, right?
So Stephanie figured out that, well, which isn't hard to figure out, come on up, Steph, that Julia liked makeup. So why don't you hand the mic to Stephanie for a second, stay here, Joe. What did you do, Stephanie, to help her?
Well, we had a routine where we would go over some sight words and practice them. Her teacher would send me the sight words, and we would practice them and find familiar things about them that she knew. One of the parts of our routine was I would have sentences for her to read that had the sight words in. Occasionally, we would get off task and talk about different things, and often nail polish and the floss and things would come up, and so I started adding those into her sentences, and so every week she was anxious to read her sentences because they dealt with makeup.
Let me just divert for just a second. So Stephanie, how did you get involved in Oasis as a tutor?
One Sunday at our church, we had a different, out in the commons area, we had different organizations set up, and Oasis was one of them. I had heard of Oasis before. I even had brought supplies in for the backpacks. I had brought supplies in, but I didn't really know exactly what it was about. And so that day I had stopped and talked to Jan, and she said she was looking for teachers, which I was, and initially I thought I can help someone. I had taught for 20 years, and little did I know that I would be the one blessed, I'm sure much more than Julia, because it's such a blessing to build that relationship, even over Zoom, which at first I was very hesitant and nervous about, but her personality shines right through, and we got to know each other really well. So it was such a blessing for me.
So you had said something to me about why it's important to be a volunteer. You remember what you said? What was missing?
So having taught for 20 years, it was such a part of my identity to be a teacher. I was fortunate to be part-time many of those years because I had kids at home. And so when I left teaching because there was no longer an opportunity to be part-time, I always felt like something was missing. And so when I started with Oasis, this filled the void in my heart for kids.
Okay, Jill, you want to ask? Yeah.
Sure. Okay, Julia, you're going to tell us a little bit about yourself. Okay? First of all, are you excited to work with Mrs. Tanky in person?
Yeah,
Was it kind of hard when you were on Zoom, or did you like doing it on Zoom? What did you think about that?
kind of hard.
It's a little harder. You were so excited when they finally got to meet, you know, as a parent, as all of us parents out there, when you Like when you see somebody look at your kid and their eyes sparkle and shine and get bright. I was so lucky to be there. I don't know if it was the first time you met in person at school.
We met initially.
Okay, so they had met once and then worked together, and then we were at a meeting recently, and Stephanie's eye, I mean, I get goosebumps talking about it. Eyes brightened and sparkled, and they both, it was, you can see it in some of the pictures actually. But anyways, back to you, back to Princess Julia. So, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up, Julia?
A veterinarian.
Oh, why a veterinarian?
And I love animals, and there's some animals that are really rare species and they're being hunted down, and I want to save them.
You're gonna save them, because you have a big, huge heart, don't you? Is that, what do you think everybody, all your friends at school like about you? What do you, or the teachers like about you? You walk into the room and everybody kind of smiles, right? Do you have any idea why that is?
Because I am unique in my own way.
You are unique. And can you show everybody your, that smile too? It's hard not to love that smile. All right, is there anything else they should know about you? Okay, what else should they, Dad's looking. What should they know about you?
Let her go.
I always like to run around whenever I see a new animal.
Like what kind of animal? What's your favorite animal?
A narwhal.
You run after the narwhals. All right, that's our girl, right? Anything else you need to tell us? No? Okay, that's her. That's Julia in a nutshell. Narwhal lover, all right.
All right, Jill, let me just, before I have you pass it off to Liesl, what is your perspective on how Stephanie has helped Julia?
Well, I always believe that to build resilience, it's all about relationships. And so anytime with one of our kids, and when we talked early on with Oasis, I think Liesl and I both said, you know, any time we can have one more positive relationship in a student's life, that's what it's about, right? And it helps build that resilience and that confidence. And so hearing how Stephanie has customized things to Julia and made it relevant to her and exciting to her, we are very, very grateful. So.
Okay, Liesl, pass it up, your turn. Thank you. So, Liesl is the superintendent and principal of the North Lake School District. So Liesl, tell me
Yes,
how, and I know I sometimes get into my middle school command voice.
I'm getting nervous.
Oh, don't worry, I'm fun, just don't mess with me. So tell us how and why you invited Oasis into North Lake School, because we don't come without the administrator inviting us.
Okay, well, I remember, was it maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Jan, you came to an Arrowhead area superintendent meeting. So there were probably 7 of us around, and you presented your project at that time, and it was in its infancy. I think it was just getting going. And I remember being very impressed with your passion project. I remembered you, and I thought about you often as I carried on in my work at North Lake. And so I sort of put that idea of Oasis in my back pocket, waiting for the right time to invite you to North Lake School.
Yeah, and we were grateful to have the invitation, but why does North Lake need Oasis? Isn't your poverty level and the needs of your kids, you know, pretty well taken care of, or?
North Lake is a small K-8 rural district, and our free and reduced number is 0. However, I have over 100 kids who choose to come to North Lake through our open enrollment process in the state. So 1/3 of my population does not live in North Lake. So that kind of blurs the district lines and those levels, if you will. We have students all the way from Watertown, Waukesha, Oconomowoc, and a lot from Hartford. So the needs in those larger K-8 districts are much different than in our K-8, but we're one big blended family and community, Jan. So that's why we need you, and we'll continue to need you.
We're glad to be there, I'll tell you that. As a superintendent, you're gonna keep us around a while, I think, right?
We are,
And
we
it
are.
means, you said something to me last week about what it means to have us in your district, about your job and us being there.
Yeah, well, you are making my job a little bit easier. I will say that because you're helping great kids like Julia and her family. Also, the school district resources can only do so much, especially in a tiny little district like ours. And when I can have another resource like yours, it's making a big difference, and you are truly a treasure, Jan, and your Oasis project. I knew your teachers would be quality and trusted people to work with our kids, so I'm pretty protective of my North Lake kids, but I knew you'd be a good fit. Mrs. Tanky and I went to Arrowhead High School together. We played on the soccer team, so I said, we want Mrs. Tanky.
All right, well, thank you. Well, before you go, Mike, there's a bag under the table on the other side that I have for, it should be, is it there? We have just a little presentation to make to Miss Julia as a thank you. Now, we've heard that you like mermaids and you also like makeup, correct? So, first of all, we have, as the Princess of Oasis, we have a tiara for you. Crown you. Then we have the biggest makeup kit for children that I could find. So that is, and I also have makeup brushes in here that have little mermaid tails on them. Oh, how's that? Those are all for you. Yeah. So, Miss Julia, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Julia, thank you. Thank you, guys.